Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. What if the three voices that could change an entire story simply vanished? Tonight on Update X24H, we walk into the quiet where answers should be loud. The final hours of actor Yu Menglong, Alan Yu, have become more than a headline. They are the crossroads where grief meets courage, and where a global audience must choose between rumor and responsibility. You will hear a narrative that keeps compassion at the center. We'll rebuild what's known, mark what's claimed, and invite you to take part in a careful ethical search for clarity. Along the way, we'll lean on media literacy tools used by journalists and researchers, the kind that protect viewers from being swept away by the loudest theory. Because the question isn't only what happened. It's also how do we behave when we don't know. If you've ever felt powerless in the face of silence, stay with me. This is the chapter where a respectful community learns to see in the dark, to hold space for truth, and to do no harm while waiting for light. 2 months after the reported fall at Beijing's Sunshine Upper East, Yu Menglong's story runs deeper than a single night. Fans describe a gentle professional with a sincere smile. Their grief is genuine, and so is their discomfort with uncertainty. Here is where media ethics matter. In many countries, when a public figure dies unexpectedly, families may request privacy while authorities follow legal procedures. Autopsy disclosures vary by jurisdiction. Some release summaries, others report only to next of kin. Meanwhile, social platforms apply content moderation rules, sometimes inconsistent, sometimes opaque, fueling perceptions of control. The space between official statements and public expectations becomes an information vacuum, and vacuums invite speculation. Our aim is not to feed that vacuum with heat, but to fill it with care. Timelines anchored in public, verifiable events, respectful language, and trauma-informed reporting that avoids graphic detail and refrains from naming private individuals. This is a human story first. It asks us to be dignified witnesses, curious enough to ask, humble enough to admit what we don't know, and kind enough to protect the living. Let's draw 3 clean circles. Known. Authorities publicly stated the death was an accident with alcohol involved. That's the formal line on record. Claimed. Various posts allege there were 3 female eyewitnesses, that they saw an assault before the tragedy, and that they later disappeared. There are also claims of post deletions and topic blocks on social media. Responsible. We label claims as unverified until an official document, on-the-record testimony, or corroborated reporting is available. This isn't fence-sitting. It's accuracy under uncertainty. A quick tool for everyone watching is SIFT. Stop, investigate the source, find better coverage, trace claims to their original context. Before we share a screenshot, we ask, who posted it first, when, and why? Is there independent confirmation from reputable outlets? Does the alleged evidence show the full picture or a cropped moment? In breaking stories, early firsts are often corrected later. Accuracy is not an obstacle to empathy. It is empathy's ally. Because the people inside these stories deserve not only our attention but our fairness. The most gripping part of any mystery is often the ordinary person who saw something and then went quiet. We understand why the idea of 3 missing witnesses captures hearts. It suggests there is truth somewhere close, fragile, and frightened. But ordinary lives carry mortgages, parents, children, jobs, and fear. Around the world, witness intimidation concerns lead advocates to recommend non-doxing norms, legal counsel, and safe reporting pathways. In many jurisdictions, off-record interviews, whistleblower channels, and protected submissions exist for sensitive testimony. For viewers, the ethical response is restraint. No naming, no chasing, no internet detective pylons. Instead, we channel energy into systemic protections, calling for due process, independent oversight where available, and respectful communication with recognized organizations that handle evidence securely. Remember the bystander effect in social psychology. When everyone shouts, responsibility diffuses. The antidote is quiet, targeted action. Conserve posts that provide lawful, corroborated timestamps. Report harassment. Center the safety of potential witnesses above curiosity. If witnesses exist, their first right is to be safe. Only then can their voices help anyone. Speculation scatters. A timeline gathers. We'll organize a community timeline in the comments with only public, non-personal, non-graphic anchors. Official statements, platform notices, verified press items, public memorials. No leaks, no private data, no unconfirmed screenshots. Timelines do three things well. First, they slow us down. Speed is the enemy of accuracy. Second, they reveal gaps, clearer than noise ever could. Third, they allow updates without rewriting history. We add, we annotate, we never pretend earlier uncertainty did not exist. If you're contributing, think like a librarian. Cite where and when, and prefer stable sources, official sites or reputable outlets. If one report cites another, trace it back to the first publication. That's the T in SIFT. If two outlets disagree, note the disagreement and the dates. This isn't a court. It's a public notebook for a community that cares. And care looks like this: verifiable links, courteous debate, and a refusal to let grief be exploited for clicks. We don't chase virality, we chase clarity. When posts vanish and topics fail to load, audiences feel the floor tilt. It's natural to read suppression into moderation, especially where rules are opaque or inconsistently enforced. But there are layers here. Platforms routinely remove content for policy reasons, privacy breaches, graphic material, targeted harassment, even when the subject is legitimate news. At the same time, heavy-handed removal can trigger the Streisand effect. Attempts to hide information often amplify public interest. Here's a balanced approach for viewers. Log what you personally observe, e.g., search return policy notice at time date. Take a screenshot without exposing private info, and avoid dramatic captions. Treat moderation events as data points, not conclusions. Meanwhile, diversify your sources. Follow multiple outlets across regions where legal and cultural contexts differ. Differences in coverage may reflect not only bias but also varying legal liabilities. Above all, avoid the trap of false binaries. If it's deleted, it must be true versus if it's official, it must be complete. Reality is often messy. That's why patience becomes a public service. Calls for autopsy detail usually come from a place of love. People want to understand to settle the ache. But transparency standards vary widely. In some places, only families receive full medical findings. Public summaries, if any, focus on determinations like cause and manner of death. Best practice for communities is to ask for clarity without demanding graphic specifics. Trauma-informed reporting emphasizes: name the process. Was an autopsy conducted? Who is authorized to release summaries? Not the gore. For families, legal counsel can guide lawful requests for medical records and explain what can be released publicly. For viewers, remember that fragments, photos, secondhand texts rarely tell the whole story and can re-traumatize loved ones. If you share, do so with content warnings, pixelation where appropriate, and a focus on consistency rather than shock. Justice doesn't require spectacle. It requires due process, documentation, and respect. When we center dignity, we make it safer for professionals and families alike to speak, to correct the record, and to be heard. Grief rearranges time. One day is too long, 10 weeks are too short. For many fans, memorials, digital candles, quiet gatherings, rewatching films become a way to keep love orderly when facts feel chaotic. Families often move between visibility and silence. Both are normal. Media psychologists note that parasocial bonds, our one-sided relationships with public figures, can produce real mourning, real kindness, and yes, real overreach. Let's choose the first two. A constructive community channels energy into legacy. Highlight the craft, the discipline, the colleagues who speak of professionalism. Donate to causes the artist supported. Mentor younger creators who saw him as a model. On our channel, we'll host a digital candle wall on the community tab. No theories, just memories and gratitude. And remember, comments can comfort or cut. If you see harassment, reply with a boundary or report it. If you are overwhelmed, step back. The goal is not to win an argument but to hold a life gently, to say, your work mattered, and we will carry it forward with care. Stories like this tend to sprout side plots, screenshots, confessions, and whispered names. Here's our house policy. We do not launder unverified accusations through speculation. Reposting an image with allegedly does not make it ethical. Consider the harm principle. Would sharing this claim risk reputational damage if it proves false? Is there independent corroboration from reputable sources? Are we preserving context, the full thread, the original timestamp, or only the most dramatic crop? If you believe you have relevant information, seek qualified legal representation or recognized NGOs with secure intake procedures. Avoid public evidence drops that expose private data or invite vigilante behavior. Remember that defamation and privacy laws differ across countries. A claim that looks safe in one jurisdiction can be unlawful in another. Ethical restraint is not weakness. It's credibility. It's what keeps doors open when professionals decide to speak. On Update X24H, we will continue to mark allegations clearly as unverified, avoid naming private individuals, and prioritize the safety and dignity of everyone involved. Justice is bigger than a headline and sometimes slower than a season. In complex cases, it can look like documentation that stands the test of time, like independent review where laws allow, like a culture of witness protection rather than witness pursuit. It can look like a fan community that refuses to trade dignity for dopamine. No shock thumbnails, no sensational tags, no performative rage. It can look like corrections posted as publicly as first takes, and apologies when our language outran the facts. Justice can also be memory, not letting a person's work be eclipsed by the mystery of their end. If answers come, we meet them with humility. If they don't, we keep the file orderly, the conversation civil, the compassion bright. That is not passivity. It is principled persistence. In a world driven by narrative and power, the way we hold uncertainty becomes part of the verdict history will remember. Tonight, we refuse to confuse volume with value. We marked what's known, what's claimed, and what's responsible. We honored fear without feeding it. If the story of 3 missing witnesses stands for anything, let it stand for our collective promise to protect people over theories and to keep asking careful questions until truth is safe to speak. Our timeline will live in the comments, curated, sourced, and open to credible updates. Our digital candle wall will live on the community tab, quiet, luminous, and human. If you've watched this far, thank you for choosing the slower road, the kinder words, the steadier light. We don't know how this ends, but we know how we'll walk, with patience, with principle, and with deep respect for the living and the lost. Wherever you are, in the US, Korea, Japan, Thailand, Singapore, the Philippines, Australia, France, Canada, Indonesia, or Europe, thank you for being part of a community that insists on both truth and tenderness. If this approach resonates with you, careful timelines, clear labels, big heart, please subscribe to Update X24H and switch on notifications. Your support helps us keep producing stories that balance empathy with evidence and protect people while seeking clarity. Drop a comment with public, non-personal links that add verifiable timestamps to our community timeline. Share this video with one friend who values responsible storytelling. And if you're grieving or overwhelmed, know this, you're not alone. Step back when you need to, light a digital candle when you're ready, and return when your heart has space. We'll be here, curating updates, moderating for safety, and championing media literacy tools that make all of us wiser. Thank you for watching, for caring, and for keeping this conversation gentle. Follow our channel for thoughtful coverage, community features, and future updates. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, integrity is the light that helps truth find its way home.